Hello, gorgeous people. How are we doing? Say hello as you hop on and join me. I'm just going to find the video. Bear with. Let me pin that to the top. Oh no, I'm pinning the wrong one. Bear with. There I am. So, how are you all? How is it going? And I feel like I need to pre-warn you a little bit about today. But as you hop on with me, say hello, tell me how you're doing. How are you feeling? Do you feel good that you've got this vision in place? Hopefully you've started to understand who's this next level version of you that's going to make it a reality, that's got that energetic upgrade. And then today we are diving deep into the masculine. So far we have been playing in the realms of the beautiful divine feminine. We have been doing the creativity, the flow, the visioning. But the truth is, when it comes to manifesting, we also need the masculine, right? We also need to have that discipline, that action, actually do the things that's going to give us the result that we desire. So, hi, Melanie, lovely to have you here. Hi, Mary, gorgeous. How are you? Hope you're doing all right. You're watching. So, we have got so much to cover today, and I'm hoping it's not going to be too overwhelming for you. What I would ask you to do is, if you find at any point that you go into a bit of overwhelm, a little bit of self-doubt, then take a moment, come back to that version of you that's already doing it. Feel that energy within you, feel that confidence within you, and know that actually, if there's things you're not doing yet, or there's things you don't know how to do yet, it doesn't matter. We can make that happen. You know, there's ways around it. So please do not go into overwhelm around this. So why do we need the action? And whenever I think about action, I always think about, there's a couple of stories that come to mind. And one of them, you may, well, both of them I'm sure you've heard before, but I'll share one of them with you now, which is, once upon a time, there was a man who was getting caught in a flood, and this water is rising and up and up. And he was a really deeply spiritual man. And he's sat there and he's praying to God. He said, "Oh, please save me. Please save me. I need to get out of this flood. I don't want to drown." And so along comes a little boat and says, "Look, come on, hop in. We'll save you. It'll be fine." And he said, No. God's going to save me. God's going to make this happen for me." And the guys in the boat are like, "Really? You don't want to hop in? You know, we've got a boat." He's like, No. God's going to save me." So the boat's like, "Oh, okay, fine." Then come along two little men in a dinghy, and they said, "Oh, come on, quick, hop in. Look, we can take you to the shore. It's going to be fine." He said, "Oh, no. God's going to save me. Don't worry about it. God's going to save me." And so after a bit of, "Oh God, should we leave him? Should we not?" They decide there's not much they can do. So they leave him to carry on waiting for the help from God. And then finally a helicopter comes past, and this guy comes down on a winch, and he's like, "Quick, come on, let's get you up. Let's get you back to safety." And he's like, No. Don't worry. God is going to save me." So the helicopter flies away, and lo and behold, the guy drowns. And he comes up to the pearly gates in heaven, and God's there waiting for him. And he said, "Look, what happened? I asked you to save me, and, you know, you didn't." And he said, "What do you think the boat was? The dinghy, the helicopter?" And the truth is, we do this so much in our business. We think there's going to be some kind of, you know, magical solution where everyone takes all the difficult parts away and it just materializes out of magic. Now, I believe you need the magic. I believe you need the visioning. I believe you need that energetic work. I believe All the answers you need are deep within your soul on how you can make this a reality. But unless you start putting those things into practice, start being really disciplined with it, and start actually believing that it's possible, it's not going to happen. So today is a bit of a reality check on where are you now. So I am going to start sharing the work today because we have got so much to get through, and I want to talk it through with you. So when you go away to do this work, you know exactly what you need to be doing, what you need to be thinking about, what that means. So yeah, bear with me 2 moments while I share my screen. First and foremost, it all starts with us, right? It all starts with our mindset. And if we don't get this piece right, then actually the rest of it doesn't matter. So what I invite you to do is start thinking about, where is your mindset when it comes to your business? One of the biggest things that I see that holds people back is they're not thinking of it like a business. And I get it. I started my business with this idea of it being just a little hobby, something I did to help people, something that was something nice to do on the side for me. And then I started to realize I wasn't actually attracting anyone because I wasn't taking it seriously. So let's start to consider, this belief about your vision that we looked at on day 1. How confident are you in that? Do you believe it's possible? Do you know deep in your soul that this is going to become a reality? Because if not, then you won't be taking the action to make that happen. And it's the same with the desire, right? Is the desire there to actually make this a reality? Because along this journey, you are going to come up against things that are going to frustrate you, that are going to push you, that are going to bring about every single limiting belief that you hold within you about who you are, what you're capable of, what you know, what you don't know. So how big is that desire to actually make it a reality? Are you able to move past those blocks? Number 3, I've put daily practice because right in the beginning, these 2 points of belief and desire to make it a reality are going to be really hard. And initially, when I was first starting my business, I had to check in with this daily. I had to come back to my vision. I had to step into that version that was already doing it. That work we did on days 1 and 2, I had to make part of my daily practice so I could find that belief, find that desire to go take the action that initially I found so uncomfortable, so challenging. But it gave me that drive to actually move through those tough bits. In terms of your mindset, how self-aware are you with self-sabotage? Now, initially, really obvious self-sabotage might be not even sitting down to look at the work, not even sitting down to do the work, to do the strategy work, to do the visioning work, to plan the action, to take the action. But then it becomes a bit more subtle as we grow our business. So self-sabotage can look like spending 3 months building a website that actually you don't really need. It could be spending an enormous amount of time on back-end functions that aren't going to be bringing in sales or attracting people into your world because those tasks feel safe. So be really honest with yourself around this self-sabotage. And we all do it. We can all fall into this. So don't put any judgment on yourself. We can all fall into this trap. But be really honest. Where are you with your self-sabotage right now? Money mindset. So this was a real block for me. I had so many blocks around money, around receiving money, around being comfortable with receiving money, around allowing myself to believe I was worthy of receiving it, that my services were worthy. I had to do so much work, often, as most of these things are, relating back to beliefs that I learned in childhood around what money is and how evil it is, and all of those like silly stories that hold us back from actually receiving what we desire. Now, if you don't believe you're deserving of what money can bring you, then you're really going to struggle with your business. So where do you feel you are with money mindset? So how comfortable are you with spending money, with receiving money when it comes to your business? And is that at the point that you want it to be? How comfortable are you with being visible? Because if you want people to find you, you're going to have to get comfortable with this. You're going to have to push yourself. You're going to have to start, sharing about who you are and what you can offer people, what you can bring to their lives, how you can transform and impact them. But in order to do that, you have to be comfortable being out there. And that doesn't necessarily mean being on a video. It could be in posts, it could be in your advertising, but how are you actually getting seen in terms of, where might your mindset be holding you back around that? And this is a really important one, which is seeing value in what you offer. If you can't see the value in what you offer, other people won't see it either. So if you're selling a service such as Reiki and just saying, oh yeah, I offer Reiki treatments, with no explanation around the value of what that can bring to people's lives or the impact that can have on their inner state and what that means in terms of the impact that will have on their life and their relationships and their state of well-being and their inner peace, then actually you're not going to be bringing in people that are going to want to spend money with you. Resilience. How's your resilience? Because there will be things in your business that will work, that won't work, that will feel challenging, that will feel uncomfortable, that will push you to the edge of your comfort zone, that will reveal every horrible thing that you've ever thought about yourself. So in terms of your resilience and not taking that personally and seeing this as a process and being able to get back up when something's knocked you down, where's your mindset around that? Are you comfortable with having a plan in place for your business growth? Do you know what that looks like? Are you able to set your mind to that? And are you then able to follow that plan? Do you have the discipline, the structure? Now, let's be honest. Some of these things you will find really easy. Some of these things you might find really challenging. And we will all have our own mix of which ones of those we find the most challenging. But this is your opportunity. And what I invite you to do is to rate each of these 1 to 10. So 1 being, I'm really not very good at this right now. 10 being, do you know what? I've got this nailed. I don't have any further work to do. And then what I invite you to think about is the things that you've rated the lowest. Starting to think about, is it because you're not putting it into practice and you know the stuff and you know how to do it, but you're just not doing it? Then can you start doing it now and start thinking about how you might do that, where you might do that, what support you might need in place to make that a reality? Or is this something you need to develop? Do you need to read more about it? Do you need to go get the information? Do you need to work with someone? Now, when I was first starting out, I knew that my belief in myself and my ability to make it happen was really low. And as much as I really wanted it and knew I could help people and craved seeing that impact on other people's lives, I knew I couldn't do it on my own. So at this stage, I decided I need to work with someone. For you, it might be something different, but I wanted that accountability. I wanted something or someone that was going to support me on those days where I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can do it today because, you know, I'm too tired or too stressed, or I don't think, you know, all of those self-sabotaging thoughts that come up. I also did things like constantly listen to things like podcasts, read inspirational books, so that actually my environment was conducive with the mindset that I wanted. I started setting really firm boundaries with people around me around, you know, I couldn't allow space for any doubt in my head at that time. So if anyone had a conversation around, you know, oh, this is going to be really difficult, are you sure you can make it work? I would shut that down. It was like, I cannot allow space for that in my mind right now. So what do you need to put into place? How are you going to get there? What practices can you put into place to keep this mindset on track for doing everything you need to do to make your business successful? And like I say, this is the most important part of the whole thing. If you don't have the mindset right, it doesn't matter what action you take, because the action will be half-hearted. You will be sabotaging. You will find that you just don't attract in the right people because you're not showing up as the best version of you. So that's number one, mindset. Number two, skills. So again, we need to be really honest with ourselves around what is our level of comfort, our level of skill around these different areas of business, which are required for all businesses. It doesn't matter if it's a bricks and mortar business, an in-person business, a retreat business, an online business, all of these things are relevant. So first and foremost, do you have your vision in place? Do you know exactly what you're creating? Do you know what that looks like? Do you know the numbers you want to bring in? Do you know the amount of people you want to work with? Do you know how that looks on a daily basis? What does that look like on a monthly basis? All of those things are going to impact the things you create. So for example, if you know you want to bring in 100,000 a year in terms of your business, which, let's be honest, in terms of a business is not a great deal of income once you've paid out everything you need to pay out, then you can't be pricing your services at £10 an hour. So what is that vision? What is the overall picture of the business? What is the money you want to be making? How many lives do you want to be impacting? How do you see that working? How comfortable are you with the design and marketing elements? So I've kind of split these out a little bit. So design and marketing, what I'm really talking about here is, you know, things like imagery. Have you got the right photos that you can use? Do you need to book in for a photo session, a photo shoot, so that you've got marketing materials? How comfortable are you with pulling those things together to create things like social media posts, or, you know, get a designer to do leaflets or any of those sort of things that are going to get your name out there? And then once you've got the imagery, are you clear on what it is that you want to say? The truth is, it's not enough to say, using the Reiki example again, that I offer Reiki services. People need to know, why is that going to value them? How is that going to help them? How does it work? What does that mean for them in terms of, you know, what might they experience? But from a place that actually is going to speak to them. I don't know about you, but I know the people that I work with, whether that's a coach or a healer or a therapist or whatever it is, they've got to speak to my soul. I've got to connect with them. I've got to feel like I trust and understand that person, especially when we're in this sphere of spirituality, healing, coaching. We're talking about people that are going to be telling us their, most personal information. They need to know they can trust you. So, how are you communicating who you are, what you value, what you're going to bring to someone's life? And then the next one is service and product creation. So, how comfortable are you with putting together a service? So, if you're a coach, you might be thinking, well, I just offer one-to-one coaching. But that's just one service, right? You might decide you want to do a group coaching. You might decide you want to do an online course that supports it. You might decide that you want to have some in-person events as well. Do you feel comfortable in your ability to pull together everything you want to do in your business? Pricing. Do you feel comfortable on how to price things accordingly to meet the strategy, to meet your overall aim at the business, to help the people you want to help? But also, here's the thing with pricing. I went into the business thinking I wanted to offer high volume, low cost products. What I will say is that is the hardest business strategy to follow, because when something is priced low, people generally don't value it. It also means that you have to reach far more people than if you had one service that was high end, that you could meet your goals by attracting in 3 people as opposed to 300. So how comfortable are you around your ability to manage all of that? Then we've got the systems, which is, your website, mailing list. So again, most of those are relevant for both in-person and online businesses. So, most of them will have a website, mailing list, ads. You may not have course platform. You definitely need social media, whether you're doing in person or an online business. This also includes things like your account software, all of that. And, online businesses, you also need to be thinking about things like funnels and launching, which may not be so relevant if you've got an in-person business, although it can be. So funnels, for those of you that don't know, are where you take a client through a journey. So they get to know you, and then you share something with you share lots of value with them, and then you share the offer that you have. And then when they buy that service, they might then want to go on and do a different level of that service. So for example, if you're a Reiki teacher, this might be taking someone through a journey of Reiki 1 to Reiki 2 to Reiki Master, then maybe something off the back of that on how they can set up their own Reiki practice. Do you feel comfortable with selling, or is there an ickiness or concerns around that? Or do you know how to communicate the value of what you offer to people in a way that feels really aligned, really authentic, not kind of sleazy or pushy, but in a way that just feels really aligned to you? And then as things grow, obviously you're going to need to think about building a team or managing a team and your ongoing growth and scaling strategy. So what I invite you to do with these is, again, rate them from 1 to 10, 1 being I'm not comfortable at all, 10 being I know everything about this. And then bearing in mind, like I say, other than kind of funnels and launching, all of these, and actually the bottom 2 you can actually come to at a later date, but the rest of them are all going to be essential for running a successful business. So if you've got some lower rating numbers there, then you've got options. Is it lower rating because you know how to do it and you're not doing it? And in which case, how can you start doing that now? Is it lower rating because you don't know how to do it? In which case, how can you learn to do that thing now? Or is it actually at the point where you think, I just do not want to do this, it doesn't interest me? So can you hire or outsource it to someone? What I will say is, and you can outsource for fairly reasonable prices, but what I will say is be careful if you're hiring someone to do some of these things if you don't know how to do it yourself, because you will have no kind of gauge on whether they're doing it right or whether it's actually going to work. So it can be really tough. So, for example, marketing, you could hire someone that says they're a marketing expert. But actually, if you've got no signpost or like no gauge on what good marketing looks like, then that's going to be really difficult to manage that person. Okay, are you still with me? Because we've got so much going on, so much to go through today. So, no problem, Sharon, lovely. Hope you are doing okay. So, day 3, life. Where are you now? So, the truth is, having a fabulous business, is wonderful, but it's just one element of our life, right? So, if there isn't balance in our life, then we're not going to have the energy to tackle all these things, to do all of the things that we find challenging. We need to have that balance. And I think most of us will understand that coming from probably the wellness sector or the coaching sector, where we understand there's got to be this holistic approach to life. It can't be just something we deal with in isolation. So, where are you now in terms of your life when it comes to daily exercise? So, looking after your body. If you want to run a successful business, you can't be doing it from a cup half empty, because it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of mind. It takes a lot of thought and consideration. So if we're not taking care of this vessel that we're in by daily exercise, eating well, managing our stress, because there will be stress, then actually we're really going to struggle on this journey. Are you living in alignment with your values? So, for example, like I shared on day 1, I knew that building this business was going to be challenging. I went into it with my eyes wide open. I knew full well that I was going to have to face off with those little doubts inside of me. And so I knew it was really important that the journey felt as good as possible for me. So I make sure that I build into my day time to connect in with my values. So time for my spiritual practice, those daily luxurious baths, regular massages, booking in things that I want to do. So things like holidays, going away, having time out with friends and family. So it doesn't feel like it's all work, work, work from a place of strive, strive, strive. So I won't run through all of these, but, be really honest with yourself. Where are you in terms of these at the moment? Where do you need to put more focus? Which of them are the most important to you? And then what do you need to do or plan in? And then finally, we come to the end of the workbook, which is, where are you now in terms of your resources? So what time is available? What time are you putting aside? What boundaries have you got in place to protect that time? So one of the challenges we can have is if we're working from home or initially trying to set up a business from home, then we can get pulled into all of these different things, right? So, I just put a load of washing on, or I just better do I better go make some dinner for later on. And before we know it, that time has gone. It's sucked away into the ether. And we don't make the progress we want to be making. So it's so, so important that as you're going through this journey with your business, that you've got really firm boundaries in place with yourself and with the people around you. So with your family, with your husbands and wives and kids, they know that that time is set aside for your business. And it doesn't matter if the hoovering needs doing. you're focusing on your business. You may even find it useful. Like if I know, for example, my house, if it's got to a point where it's like, oh my God, I really need to clean, but I know I don't have the time because I need to be focusing on my business, I'll take myself out to a cafe so I don't have to think about it. Luckily, my husband does most of the cleaning. I do most of the cooking. He does most of the cleaning. And, but you know, an alternative might be, do you need to get support in place to help with some of the things that you've got going on? Do you need to get a cleaner? Do you need to get a babysitter? Do you need to arrange childcare for, you know, a few hours a week? Whatever it is for you, start thinking about what is that support you need in place. And the other thing is, and again, we can be quite naive around this, but what money have you got put aside for your business? So this might be for really physical things like a premises, equipment, buying like systems. So for example, a mailing system, a website, advertising, or outsourcing or hiring a team, but also your own learning and development. There's no greater investment, right, than the skills and learning how to do things yourself. So whether that's in regards to your mindset, in regards to the skills you need to up level. And if you don't have that money set aside, then what is your money generation plan? Because you're going to need it. Let's be really real here. You can't start a business with nothing. Well, I say that, you can, but you need to have learned those skills that we talked about before. So you would need to have found a way to learn those things, put it into action, keep that mindset going, and bring that income in so you can then start investing in these things. Let me just come back a moment. I'm just going to stop sharing a second. So, how are we feeling after looking at all of that? Because I want to be really real. I don't want to sit here and say, you know, building a business is easy and you know, you can have all of these things with minimum like output. The truth is it's tough. And there is a reason that something like 90% of businesses fail in the first 2 years. And it's because people are treating it like hobbies half the time. So this is an opportunity to get really real with yourself and start thinking, okay, what do I know? What do I have in place? What do I need to work on to allow this to become a reality? And not all of you will, and that's okay. But I do know there'll be a small percentage of you that are like, do you know what? This vision is bigger than me. This vision is important. I get to impact millions of people's lives if I want to. And why wouldn't you, right? If you can, why wouldn't you? So today, I invite you to spend some time with this. Get really honest with yourself. Look at what are the things you're doing really well. What are the things that, you know, you need to put in place, you need to start thinking about. And then tomorrow, we will be going into some of these, especially the mindset areas, in more detail. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Go spend some time on this, get really clear on this. And if you need any support with this, reach out. What I will also be doing is later in the week, sharing with you some resources that I have available, support that I can offer around many of these different topics. But in the meantime, if you need anything, please get in touch. I would love to hear from you. So I will see you tomorrow for day 4, where we will be diving into some of the mindset stuff in a bit more detail, how we can start shifting those blocks, how we can start letting go of those voices, that tell us it won't happen, that we're not good enough, that we're not capable. And bring that power back into that version of us that we stepped into yesterday. So sending you so much love. Have a gorgeous day, and see you tomorrow.